Margaret Wilson, 60, became obsessed with short dramas and started acting like a love-struck teenager. She spent her days fantasizing about wealthy CEOs falling for menopausal women like her. When she demanded to marry a man she'd known for 3 days, claiming he was a disgraced tycoon, I objected fiercely after noticing his suspicious behavior. Maggie threatened to jump off the building, screeching, "You jealous shrew! Can't stand seeing your own mother-in-law happy." I took my son and left for my parents' house. A month later, I inherited both my husband and mother-in-law's estates. Chapter 1. The bald man lounging on our sofa wore long sleeves in midsummer heat. Before I could approach him, Maggie yanked me into the kitchen. "Will's moving in. We're getting married." I frowned. "You've only known Will 3 days. This is reckless." "What do you know?" she preened. "He's from a prestigious military family. Once we're married, maybe I'll let you visit the compound." My 60-year-old mother-in-law had been delusional since binge-watching romantic web series. Last month, she'd stalked my boss's father outside our office until HR threatened to fire me. When I asked Michael to intervene, he snapped. "Mom sacrificed everything raising me. She deserves happiness." Returning to the living room, I found Maggie draped over Will, who kept pushing her away. His shifty eyes made my skin crawl. That evening, I pulled Michael aside. "We can't let that stranger move in," he announced loudly in front of everyone. "Emily says we shouldn't trust you." "Will." The man stormed out, snarling. "I commanded respect at the Pentagon before you were born." Maggie rounded on me, screaming about ruined happiness. When Michael failed to lift her from her dramatic floor tantrum, he barked, "Stop gawking and help." As I reached down, she pinched my arm hard enough to bruise, the same woman who prided herself on being classier than those tacky soap opera housewives. Ouch! I gritted my teeth while continuing to support her. "Michael, your wife doesn't just oppose Will staying here, she clearly doesn't want me around either." Maggie sobbed, pounding her chest. "Your father died young. I raised you through thick and thin by myself. Now you're choosing your wife over your own mother. Just buy my train ticket now. I'll go back home where I won't be a burden." Michael's eyes reddened with anguish at his mother's words. He shot me a resentful glare. "Mom, I'll have Will move in tomorrow." I wanted to protest that this was my house, but swallowed my words seeing our wailing child. Little did I know this compromise would unravel our family. Will moved in despite my misgivings, with only an elderly woman and toddler at home during weekdays. I secretly installed cameras without telling anyone. Maggie waited on him hand and foot like royalty, serving meals, laying out clothes, even peeling fruits for him. The colder Will acted, the more doting Maggie became, constantly thanking him for his presence. I stopped paying attention until that sweltering morning when I witnessed Maggie tugging at Will's shirt. "Try these shorts and t-shirt I bought you," she urged, normally thrilled by her gifts. Will snapped unusually, "Stop bothering me. I'm not hot." When Maggie yanked his collar, buttons popped off revealing clusters of oozing red sores. I gasped. "What's that?" "Rose acne," Maggie snapped as Will hastily covered himself, rushing to work. I couldn't shake the mental image. Online searches suggested something far worse than acne: syphilis. That evening I pulled Michael aside. "Will might have something contagious. We should ask him to leave." "You're being paranoid again," Michael dismissed. Desperate, I slipped sleeping pills into their dinner. Later, I clumsily drew Will's blood using borrowed equipment, sending it for urgent testing. The agonizing wait for results consumed me throughout my workday. Stealthily checking the baby monitor, I saw Will Taylor alone with my child on the sofa. He tickled the infant, eliciting giggles that made me smile involuntarily. My phone suddenly vibrated violently. A frantic call from my friend shrieked through my headphones. "Where did this blood sample come from?" "It's positive for syphilis and HIV." We're required to report this to CDC. Before I could process this horrifying news, the monitor showed Will removing the baby's diaper and putting his mouth on my child's genitals. "You monster!" I screamed through the speaker, trembling with rage. Will jerked his head up, locking eyes with the camera lens. I demanded Michael return home immediately. We arrived simultaneously. My husband began to complain until he saw my thunderous expression. Snatching my child, I hurled whatever I could grab at Will while screaming, "Pervert! Get out!" Maggie and Michael shielded Will, accusing me of overreacting. Through tears I yelled, "He molested your son. How can you defend him?" When shown the footage, Michael first questioned when I'd installed cameras, then dismissed it as bad camera angles. Maggie sneered, "You're just jealous of Will's aristocratic background from the Taylor family compound." I scoffed, "What compound? The imaginary one in his dementia? Uneducated shrew." Will barked as Maggie cooed comfort, then snapped at me, "You're the villain here, persecuting our family benefactor." When I mocked their belief in Will's fabricated property deeds, Maggie shrieked, "I've got better curves than any soap opera star. Will chose me." Michael threatened divorce unless I apologized, coldly deciding to withhold Will's STD results. I suddenly charged with a kitchen knife. Michael yelped while Will cowardly used Maggie as a human shield, his chivalrous protector act vanishing faster than his fake real estate portfolio. The blunt edge of the blade struck Maggie hard. She immediately began wailing like a stuck pig, cursing and dodging my strikes. If I weren't afraid of jail time, that butcher knife wouldn't have stayed reversed today. The onlookers trembled at my furious blade-wielding stance, scrambling out the door one after another. I slammed the door shut and threw the deadbolt. My child's wails from the couch finally made me drop the knife, my arms shaking as I gathered the toddler close. I rocked us both, murmuring reassurances until my racing heart slowed. The bathroom tiles chilled my knees as I scrubbed my child clean, the memory of Will's oozing sores making me scrub harder. The toddler's sudden cry snapped me back. I'd been washing too vigorously. After a quick towel wrap and inspection for visible injuries, anxiety still clawed at my throat. The hospital waiting area smelled of antiseptic and dread. When the blood work came back clear, I collapsed against the wall sobbing. My child was safe. New locks clicked into place before dawn. At my parents' house, I warned them, no visitors except me. Michael's calls blew up my phone that night. His texts pinged relentlessly, frowny face, "Why are the locks changed? Emily? How dare you attack my mother? I'm calling the cops." My reply froze his threats, "Do it. I've got video of your precious Will molesting our child. Ask Maggie if she wants her beloved tycoon in prison." Silence. Then came the guilt trips, frowny face, "You're overreacting about Will. Let it go. You'll make our kid grow up fatherless. Keep this up and I'll divorce you." I blocked every number before sunrise. The officers at my door next morning looked uncomfortable. "Your mother-in-law's threatening to jump off a building. Needs to see you." The crowd outside her apartment complex buzzed with voyeurs. Livestream phones angled toward where Maggie dramatically pointed at her bruises. "Look what this witch did to me. She's killing her own family." Michael stood red-eyed beside her, sporting a split lip. Will loitered nearby, impassive. "Tell them why I threw you out," I challenged over the jeering crowd. Maggie clutched her chest like a soap opera widow. "She's murdering me. Arrest her." As cops urged compromise, I cut through her theatrics. "What's your real price?" Her eyes gleamed. "Divorce my boy. Sell the house, we take 60%. You keep the brat." The crowd's laughter erupted like thunder. Even the live streamer snorted at her audacity. Police radios crackled as Maggie's suicide protest dissolved into public humiliation. Maggie remained unmoved, glaring at me defiantly. I chuckled coldly. "So this whole spectacle was just about extorting more money? Fine. Come down," I said briskly. "Though whether you'll keep that money remains to be seen." She snorted contemptuously. Will needs this capital for his comeback. You two better handle this quickly. If you mess up Will's plans, I'll hang myself on your doorstep. Still clinging to their delusions of that failed tycoon resurrecting their fortunes. Watching the smug old hag and her spineless son Michael, I stifled laughter. Let's see how long their grins last after discovering Will's medical condition. Michael avoided my gaze as he helped his mother down from the rooftop, both getting lectured by police officers. When I tried reporting Will, the sly old fox had already vanished during the chaos. At the divorce registry, we divided our meager assets, a house currently worth $2 million split 60-40. He'd get $1. $2 million. I'd keep $800,000. Our negligible savings weren't even worth arguing over. We agreed the funds would transfer after the property sold. Maggie crowed about investing every penny in Will's surefire business venture, sneering that nouveau riche like me shouldn't dirty their future high society glory. Before their champagne could chill, I sued Michael. Technically, my parents sued both of us. During the hearing, Maggie lunged at me in the defendant's stand. Emily, you scheming witch. What fresh hell are you plotting now? I'm a defendant too. I shrugged innocently. The judge slammed his gavel as her tirade continued. Order! This is your first warning. My parents' attorney presented bank statements, property documents, and signed IOUs totaling $4 million, the full amount they paid for our wedding gift house. I consent to repayment. I immediately agreed. Michael turned ashen, finally remembering the promissory note he'd signed during our engagement. Maggie shrieked from the gallery, bullshit. My son earned that house. You're all in cahoots with that gold-digging whore. The judge verified the evidence before holding up the IOU. Mr. Brown, is this your signature? Sweat dripped from Michael's trembling chin as he stared at the damning document. Maggie's screams crescendoed, lies. Emily forged everything. Let's authenticate the handwriting, I suggested coolly. The attorney then played security footage, Michael kneeling before my parents, penning each character of the IOU with his own hand. Confronted with irrefutable proof, Michael collapsed into his seat, muttering acknowledgement of the valid debt. Maggie's face purpled with rage as I smirked. Such a respectable family who demanded no dowry. Even bought us a house outright before the wedding. My voice dripped acid. Pity their precious son forgot to mention he'd signed it all as loans. The gavel cracked down on their crumbling facade of dignity. He was the one who knelt down, groveling with gratitude as he wrote an IOU to my parents, promising to treat me well forever. Otherwise, let your parents sue me for the money. Who could have imagined that years later, that old video would boomerang back to haunt us? Back then, Michael had lied to save face, telling his mother and relatives he'd contributed to the house purchase. I kept quiet, believing spouses should present a united front. But lies repeated often enough become truths to the liar. Now Michael sat ashen-faced in court while Maggie screeched outside, lunging at me before being restrained by police. The judge ruled the debt marital, splitting it 50/50ths. Perfect. Our $400,000 house was now worth $200,000. Michael's $120,000 share minus his $200,000 debt meant he owed my parents $80,000. Outside the courthouse, Maggie hissed. Heartless bitch. I hope you die screaming. I grinned. Save your curses. Hag. Can you even afford coffins now? Or did Will scam you dry? Maggie's face purpled. My fiancé Will's giving us 3 properties. We'll repay in days. Keep them for your funeral, I retorted. Days later, they ambushed us during a family walk. Michael suddenly knelt, pleading hoarsely, Emily, let's stay married. Maggie theatrically slapped her own cheeks. My fault for threatening suicide. I was just upset. I crossed my arms. What's the scam this time? They hemmed until Maggie blurted. Advance us the $120,000. Will's investment returns, I snorted. Thought your sugar daddy's properties would cover it? Did Tycoon will ghost you? Maggie lunged, but tripped when I dodged. As she howled, Michael scrambled up, eyes wild. Grab the baby. Force her to pay. Thank God I'd positioned my parents safely back. I kicked Michael down, shielding my family as we retreated to guarded gates. Security chased them off. Watching their limping escape, I shivered, clutching my child. Weeks passed quietly. Then their faces flooded local news feeds. Thanks to my ex-mother-in-law Margaret Wilson's previous suicide attempt drama, she gained some online notoriety. This time, another video of her went viral. I clicked open the footage and witnessed something I'll never forget. The shaky video appeared to be secretly recorded by a neighbor across the hall. Suddenly, Maggie's hoarse, cracking shriek pierced through. What the hell are you two doing? Shameless! What did I do to deserve this? My own son and my husband. I might as well die. Amid her screaming and objects crashing, two naked figures came scrambling out, Michael Brown and William Taylor. I gagged in disgust, covering my mouth as their bare bodies filled the screen. Remembering Michael used to be my husband made my stomach churn so violently I actually vomited. How could these two end up together? My scalp prickling. I kept watching. Michael, still half-dressed, got chased out the door by his mother. He finally snapped back. This is your fault. You couldn't even secure that house from Emily Johnson's parents. They're demanding repayment. And the money I invested with Will wasn't enough. I took out loan shark money trying to double down. Now they want payment too. Why give all your cash to Will? I'm your actual son. You forced me into this. I was stunned by Michael's warped logic. Was he literally prostituting himself to Will for money? How could he still believe Will had funds at this point? Was he truly this delusional? Maggie, ever the lovesick fool, ignored Will completely. She kept beating Michael while wailing, disgrace. Sleeping with your own mother's man. I disown you. Die. You little beast. When Michael finally shoved her away, Maggie lost balance and tumbled down the stairs. Her head hit the concrete with a sickening crack, blood pooling around her motionless body. Michael stood frozen in panic, not even noticing Will slipping away. I closed the video. Our once stable family had completely imploded. With a sigh, I forwarded this masterpiece to Maggie's hometown groups and Michael's friend/college circles. Drama tastes better when shared with mutuals. The absurdity made the story spread like wildfire. Comparing this to Maggie's previous suicide blackmail video, netizens overwhelmingly sided with me. Memes flooded platforms, edited clips of Maggie's fall, parody songs, even deepfake comedy sketches. Maggie became permanently vegetative from the fall. Michael got fired and became a shut-in. Then the bombshell dropped. Netizens exposed Will as a serial scammer targeting retired widows. Dozens of elderly women across the country came forward with evidence. Will had conned over $5 million using his perfect gentleman act before fleeing to our city. I unblocked Michael and sent him every damning post about Will. Let him see how thoroughly he'd been played. I forwarded the HIV and syphilis test report of Will that I secretly submitted earlier to Michael. After finishing, I blocked him immediately. I thought I wouldn't see anything related to Michael anymore, but underestimated internet virality. A clout-chasing blogger live-streamed chasing him to the hospital, shoving the camera into Michael's face. Amidst cruel snickering, the blogger aggressively asked, "Who's the dominant one between you and your stepdad? How does it feel sleeping with men?" Michael, looking weathered, kept dodging the lens without uttering a word. The blogger yanked his arm. "Stop hiding. Got the guts to do it but not own up?" During their scuffle, the blogger suddenly shrieked, "YV, you got so many boils on your neck. Are you diseased?" He shook his hand violently. "Disgusting. Don't infect me." Panicked, Michael twisted to check his neck. frantically clawing at his collar before bolting into the restroom. He emerged minutes later, eyes rimmed red, and hurried out of the ward. I assumed he went for medical tests. Amidst the chaos, I nearly forgot the mandatory divorce waiting period had ended. Waiting at the Civil Affairs Bureau, Michael never showed. Only his cryptic text arrived, "Emily. Sorry. Please take care of Mom." Attached was his test report. My eyes widened. HIV. Syphilis. He'd actually been infected. Days later, police notified me Michael was dead. During Will's arrest, they'd found Michael's corpse beside his. Clear signs of mutual combat ruled out third-party involvement. Recalling his last message, I pieced it together, swindled of money and infected. Michael must have confronted Will in despair, ending them both. Sighing, I agreed to handle Michael's arrangements. The officer mentioned Will hadn't spent his latest scam proceeds, so refunds might come through. Hanging up, the hospital called. "Emily? Your relative regained consciousness." Rushing over, I found Maggie, Michael's mother, previously vegetative, emaciated and frail. She kept glancing past me toward the door. "Testing the waters?" I asked. "Looking for Michael or Will?" At Will's name, she pounded the bed, whimpering. "Will?" Her eyelids fluttered. My throat tightened. What spell had that conman cast? Even ruined, she still yearned for him. As she kept thumping the mattress impatiently, I snapped, "Your precious CEO will swindled over $5 million from elderly women nationwide," showing her the fraud exposed online. I hissed, "See? He's a career scammer." Even before that, Maggie had taken a liking to Will's father, lurking outside my office every day trying to ambush his father. The awkwardness was unbearable. "Enough," I snapped. "Your son died because of your recklessness. And here you are still trapped in obsessive romantic delusions." Maggie sobbed. "My son." I sighed and continued. "Your son Michael contracted HIV and syphilis from Will. He probably lost his mind, got into a fight with Will, and somehow they both ended up dead." Hearing this, her skeletal face contorted grotesquely with agitation. She suddenly let out a wail, tears streaming as she clawed at me, mumbling incoherently. I leaned closer to hear her rasp. "I was wrong to binge those soap operas. I don't want any man anymore. I failed you, Michael. I'm coming to join you. Forgive me." Her body jerked once before going still, eyes glaring wide with unresolved bitterness. All my resentment evaporated in that moment. With a heavy heart, I closed her eyelids. In 24 hours, I'd buried both Michael and Maggie. They'd schemed endlessly for wealth, yet left empty-handed while I inherited everything. After settling their affairs, I sold the house and returned to my parents. Now, whenever unexpected windfalls come my way, I remember this harsh lesson. Life demands grounded perseverance, not chasing pipe dreams.